this week we shared a competency model for customer education roles, and it got me really thinking about the importance of competency frameworks within the realm of customer education, product training, partner training. It's something that you're likely most familiar with in the context of HR and performance management. Competency models and frameworks are often shared by management teams to help set expectations within a role. And again, something used maybe in promotion, job growth. But this idea of a competency model and competency framework is just so essential and serves quite a lot of purposes beyond this sort of common context that we think of. We see that, for one thing, the competency framework serves as a very clear blueprint for the end goal. And what I mean by that is whenever we are doing any kind of education initiative or training initiative, ultimately what we're looking to do is bring the learner from wherever they are, that point, to the point where they need to be to perform better in their job or to achieve whatever goal it is that they set out to achieve. So it's basically getting them from their current state to this sort of end goal. And to know what that end goal is, that's the list of competency. That's basically the description of what a competent learner looks like, and whether that's a competent customer, a competent partner, a competent employee. That is essentially what we're looking to build with a competency framework, is this description of the competencies that are most expected or common within these different types of job functions. So you typically see competency frameworks around a function like, for example, marketing or product, or in our case, customer education. That's what we just shared. We see project management competencies. And so when we have a general sense of the common core competencies that are expected for someone to be proficient, we can then break that down even further into the different proficiency statements within those competencies. And that's what you'll see in our customer education competency model, is we've broken that down into 3 different levels, essentially. Proficiency, the common proficiency level we'll see in a customer education associate, which is at more entry level, kind of starting out, helping build programs. Second level up is customer education program manager, so somebody who's now a little bit more mid-level, owning programs within the customer education team. Third level is that customer education leader, often seen as a director level, sometimes VP or senior manager, depending on the size of the company. But that's someone who's much more in charge of the strategy and overseeing of all the processes and the completion of things. And so when you look at this competency framework, we have the list of competencies, and then we have the different proficiency statements for those 3 levels. And so, this helps us to see this end goal. What are we trying to get everyone to achieve? And when we think about this in the context of customer education, very meta, we're looking at, again, we may want a customer to reach a certain level of proficiency. So we have to understand, what are those competencies? What do they look like in the context of a proficient customer or a proficient partner, or different types of customers, different types of prospects? And so that's really the first purpose of a competency framework. The second one is that once you have this, it serves as the foundation for a modular curriculum, which is really important with the speed of things necessary for product education type of initiatives, because we want to have a modular curriculum that can be used in a variety of contexts, that can be updated quickly, can be scaled across audiences, scaled across business goals. And so when we have this competency framework built out, we can see where there are common competencies, and then within the competency, knowledge, skill, and ability statements that serve that competency. So, for example, if I'm just going to pick randomly, if we had a competency around data analysis, and maybe you have a product that supports some kind of data analysis, we would break that down into what are the skills and knowledge necessary to reach that competency. And what you'll likely see is that there are different audiences, different target learners that need to know somewhat different things about data analysis, but maybe there's some overlapping things as well. And so when you can see that those common core skills and common core competencies, that's when you can understand how you can build your curriculum so that you don't have to get too granular, too specific around one audience or one need, but you can start a bit more broadly and then get more targeted as necessary depending on the audience. And so that is really, it's not quite really possible to build a modular curriculum without having this blueprint, without having this competency framework in place. And then a third purpose of it is if and when you want to certify. It's really, again, quite mandatory to have something like a competency model or framework in place so that when you build a certification, you are certifying a certain set, proficiency towards those competencies. Otherwise, you're kind of building a certification from thin air, because essentially a certification is about certifying people in their proficiency level towards being competent in whatever it is that you're certifying, whether that's project manager or a certain type of customer using your product. We see some products may have certifications around like the admin side of the product, and so you're kind of certifying an administrator. And so what are the competencies that administrator needs to know or be proficient in to perform well in their role with your product. And so that's some of the core reasons for thinking about competency frameworks. If you're interested in the customer education competency model that we just shared, check that out in the links below and let us know what you think.